There we go. So we experimented with music that was like, hey, oh, and then he just disappears off the screen. Those seeing this live or in replay will never know who that other face was and why he was there. So, but this is the month that I celebrate the culmination of my 3rd year of doing this weekly. And then the 25th is the beginning of the 4th year. I recently said I'm not slowing down. It was when 2 of my former or previous, not former, previous guests, because who knows if they're going to come back again, Lance Slatton with All Home Care Matters. All home care matters. Something. Lance A. Slatton. That I remember because same middle initial as me. Lance A. Slatton. And then Dr. George Ackerman, Esquire, Officer Dr. George. I mean, he's everything. He's a police officer and everything. And the 2 of them are previous guests on Aspects of Aging for Aging Better Network. And they said, we've joined forces now. And I'm like, did they know each other before they came on? And I don't think so, because while they interviewed together, co-interviewed me or co-hosted me, and it is in the archive now, right? Did I get that? Or is it coming up? Might be coming up while Scott's gone again. Anyway, just, George saying, after my mom passed away, you were like the first person I said yes to, although I already had my Together for Sharon for his mom, who died due to complications of Parkinson's. And he was only son, husband, dad. I never heard anything about them, and only child. And so his youthful time was caring for her through all the stages. And he just talked about that it was significant to be now interviewing me. It was just great because they've come together just to, they call themselves caregiver advocates. And so they asked me questions, and every time I answered, one of them would say, well, we're going to go on to the next question, but I just want to say one more thing. And I'm like, this is not going to be a 30-minute show. So sure enough, it stretched out to 60, just like my shows always do. But I had to figure out, what am I about? Just because I was a caregiver and just because I thought, I'm lucky. Everyone should have to do caregiving. It should be like required in high school so that you'll just understand how you yourself feel about someone getting old, feel about approaching someone who maybe has a calendar, has been told that they probably won't live much longer, has someone who used to do all this stuff for themselves, and now someone else needs to be there to make sure that it's done safely or done correctly. Everyone should have the experience that I did. And I always wished I had great answers for the families, because as I served as a professional caregiver, I was paid to be there. It was my shift, my time to be there. I always wished I had better answers. And I'm like, where are those better answers? And I find them in my guests. And Lori, this has to be like the 4th time that you've come in, but there's always something new because you are always polishing your apple, different colored apples. You are always making things brighter, better, more efficient, more informative. So you asked me to go to a site, and I registered to go on it. Then I received an email from you, I think in the last 24 hours, that probably went out to everyone who has registered on your site, letting us know there's a resource there that we don't want to miss. So I'm like, yay! Thanks to the magic of LinkedIn, I have met Lori Miller, and she is a person that has not just resources that are geographically located, but she has resources, answers, solutions to problems that many of them have existed for years, but people didn't know where to go to find them, or even what to Google or what to ask AI. And you've been collecting them and you've been vetting them. So, what have you got going on new? You talked about it about 4 months ago when it was Texans only, and today is no exception. We ended up being Texans only. We've got Houston, Jeff in Houston, myself in Waco, and then Lori in Dallas. So we're all a number of hours apart, but we're all within that state that has a kind of a shape. So go for it, Lori. And then I want to make sure that Jeff gets his chance to say what he's about and maybe a little bit about how this weekend went.
Okay, well, thank you, first of all, for having me again. I really appreciate it. But yeah, I think I was just talking about the community for Age Tech Now. But so agetechnow.com is a directory to help people find innovative solutions for aging and caregiving. And innovative doesn't have to be high tech. It could be fabrics. It could be platforms or ideas. It could be a lot of different things. And I think we're at a time when the older adults in our lives are comfortable using technology now. And I think there's been so much out there, it's almost overwhelming. So that's why I created this directory. There's two primary ways to be on the directory. One is the product or service or app has to be available now, not in the future, not a concept. It has to be available now and to the consumer, because I was finding, like, I'd hear about, get a press release about this great new app, let's just say, and I'd go look at it. They won a lot of, they won an award, or they won grant money, or they did something. So I would go look at it, and either it would turn out it's not really available, it's still beta testing and not available, or it's only available through Medicare Advantage, or through a Humana plan, or through some other payer source. And it's like, but I want it, or I want it for my client. And it's like, you couldn't get it. So I got real frustrated with that. So everything on the directory is available now and to the consumer. It might also be available other ways, but I would find, or a lot of them want to go through skilled facilities or assisted living, when really the person at home aging alone really needs this item. But no one's marketing, because it's very difficult to market to the individual person, right? Very difficult. Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to do, is not only help our older adults, but help the professionals helping the older adults, and help these smaller companies that have a great idea or plan, but just have to get to the right people. So that's my goal for the directory. And then I'm also launching, I started it with a few select people, but I'm about ready to launch it, the Age Tech Now community, because I think we learn as older adults, or as adults ourselves, we learn through each other. And the wisdom of the crowd is really, really strong, because as you know, Christine, and maybe you do too, Jeff, I don't know, but we could tell people all day how to care for an older adult and how to help an older adult. But when it's yourself, like when you're caring for your own mom, it's all different. I mean, wow. things really change. And I've experienced that myself. And so not only have I helped, we have a home care agency in Dallas also, Apple Care and Companion. It's our local Dallas agency. So I've cared for families. I've helped adult children help their parents. I've helped the parent directly. I mean, I've learned a lot. But when my own mom was going through what she went through before she passed away, it was, a whole different thing. So I learned so much from that side of it. And I really feel that that makes all the difference in the world. And I think it's so important to be able to share your experience with other people who've also shared it. It's different, and a caregiver needs it. It's hard. Like you said earlier, everybody should be involved with caregiving, because it's just it's not something you do. It's like who you are. You become this caregiver, and it's just so personal and emotional. So that's the point of the community, is not only to share with each other, but I have resources. You mentioned one of the resources. I have a lot of resources, because if you're new to caregiving, you don't know where to go. You don't know what to turn to, or you're just getting a lot of generic information. There's lots of really good sites out there, but a lot of it's very generic and very uplifting and very happy. And a lot of times caregiving isn't, and it's hard. And you need to know how to work with siblings that maybe you don't get along with, or there's a lot of different kinds of families these days. There's lots of parents involved. There's step, and there's this, and there's that. And it's different. It's just not clean. It's not, you can't fit this square peg in a round hole. And I think the more resources that we can have, and the more places we can share and talk to, I think in a safe environment, I think is just really important. So that's the point behind the Age Tech Now community. And something else, they just had a new report came out, that it was caregiver report, and it's talking about the working caregiver and how many people are, one, that they're sandwich generation, caring for their older adult in their life, as well as still involved with their children's life, or just a working caregiver, whether they're single or married. It's hard. I mean, like, most of my phone calls I get as an agency come during the hours of 9 to 5. I mean, we answer our phone at all hours, but the bulk of my calls come between 9 and 5. And guess what that means? If they're working, they're calling on the job, right?
Okay.
They have to call the doctor if they're lucky, between 9 to 5. Or when they get a call back, they're taking that call, right?
Yeah.
Doctors are calling back between 9 and 5. So people are caregiving on the job. And I think we really need to help the employer help the employee, and get them back to being more productive. And because they're doing all this, while they're on the clock, or if someone had an hour, let's say someone was working at like an hourly job, they're having to take time off. I mean, they're not just sneaking around the corner and calling the phone. They're having to either take time off or come in late, or, leave early. It's a real situation. So I think the more we can help people, the better it can be for everyone. So I hope everyone can go. Right now, I didn't even mention the directory. Everything is free. The directory is free. The community is free. And I always, whenever I hear everything is free, I always want to know, like, there has to be money in it somewhere. But I have different on the community. It's all free. But then I have if someone wanted more, then I would have a higher tier, so that someone could pay more and get more. But you don't need to pay, because I think shouldn't be a stumbling block for education and for help. So that's my story in a nutshell.
So each of these episodes, I've never had a different producer. It's always been D. Scott Smith, motivational listener, and we do have the same last name because he let me borrow that almost 41 years ago, and I haven't given it back yet. So still, both of us Smiths. It takes people a while when we're in situations on a screen full. Nobody goes, "Oh, you're both Smiths, so you're related." And that probably happens with Millers too, that they don't necessarily go, "So you must be," but maybe a less prevalent, whatever, last name. So he's listening right now, unless he's answering the front door, because we are live and our hot water heater is not hot.
Oh, no.
And I'm fine. It's a good time of year to take a cool shower
Yep.
and be
It's good for you
grateful.
sometimes.
And so, Cynthia Rogers is on. Do you already know her?
I don't think,
Cynthia Rogers.
but
She's
I'm
also
happy.
a resource provider, resource collector. So,
Okay.
Cynthia, thank you so much for showing up. If the two of you haven't yet, move over from private chat, which would just be us and Scott, and over to comments.
Oh,
And Cynthia
okay.
Rogers is saying, "Hi, Christine. I'm so happy to run into your live session." She has been a guest. That was a long time ago. And also, so she wants an explanation about your directory. While you formulate that, Lori, I'm asking Scott if he can look up the name of the lady. Did a tiny part in It's a Wonderful Life, where she comes in to the savings and loan, and all she needs is her little $12.84. Later on, she plays grandma somebody or other, but just Grandma Walton on The Waltons.
I didn't know that.
So John Boy Walton, if you ever saw those shows or referred to it, was a big deal in its era. I mean, when it was going, everyone knew the Waltons. It was Downton Abbey of its time or whatever. How are they doing? She had a stroke, major stroke. And she continued. They already were living together as young kids, parents, different ages of kids, and then whoop, the two grandparents. And they did a special program where he's sitting up on that hill and she's sitting next to him, and they are just on the ground. And they do some reminiscing using footage from the other not episodes, seasons. And she's just sitting there and she is not talking and she is not moving. And she's sitting up and she's noticing. And I believe he reaches over and touches her hand. And I'm like, that's what people would want. There she is, Corby, Ellen Hansen Corby. Actress. Ooh, she was a screenwriter too. I was just involved in a local Waco Independent Film Festival as a volunteer. Grandma Walton. She got 3 Emmy Awards, and they continued with her after that happened. And I know the same thing happened. A stroke happened to the actor in Psych. And they kept it going into like the movies afterwards, where what they said was that he'd been shot and things like that, and continued with him. And I'm just going, that is the way a family can love, whether there's blood or lawful certificates filled out, your family, the people you've been acting with and getting up at 4 a.m. so that they can get that shot, etc., are going, you are not out just because somebody's unplugged your jukebox has taken you and put you in a different kind of living right now. You are going to explain about the directory. And I want Jeff to know that I'd said to him earlier that he is legendary, because that's what it says on his profile. So I know that I can ascribe that to him. But I put it under the words that I use: relationship, the resiliency in relationships. I know that's part of what he's about. And that can really work into those years when you're like, I'm two different people. And I kind of have lost being who I am, because I'm running after picking up and running after and picking up, and trying not to be condescending because the little ones are growing up, and trying not to be condescending because I'm the son-in-law, and I just do not need to rattle all the cages and make all of my other in-laws feel like I'm, you know, getting in the way, although I really think I have the right idea here. It's just, whoo. Yeah, relationships, they break, they get stronger at times when you really need them, and they also get kind of thin and worn. And it's what you thought was so important at this point is still important, but you're just like, I don't know if I can maintain this intensity. So explain about your directory for Cynthia Rogers, who may very well get to know you. And hey, Sylvia O'Hue Tyson, got to be a relative, right?
No.
There goes my whole theory blown.
She's on the other part of the world too, on top of that. So it's just amazing what happens.
Oh my goodness, you already looked her up. Oh my goodness. Okay, Lori, explain about your directory.
Okay.
And Jeff, we're going to go over to you in just a few moments.
Okay, so the Age Tech Now directory is a collection of innovative services or products or apps or platforms to help people with caregiving and aging. Everything on the directory is available now and to the consumer. And it could be, an app. There's some wonderful things. People have come up with some of the greatest innovation. There's a wonderful, it's like having a musical therapist in your pocket. It's called SingFit. It's awesome. That's great. There's a product called Jubilee TV that's really wonderful that you can put on someone's TV. There's all kinds of just really great, there's even services. There's a lot of people getting involved with helping older adults with tech and not have to use the Geek Squad. And it's a trusted thing, because if you've ever, as an adult child, if you've ever tried to help your parent with using a phone or their computer, it just kind of devolves into not a good situation. So a lot of times you need a third party to help with that. So there's services that are available. So it's really really great. I mentioned there's it can be fabrics. There's a line of, it's called Magna Ready, and it's good looking clothing for men and women that instead of having buttons or snaps, it's magnets. And good looking button down shirts for men and nice tops and dresses for women. So if you have dexterity problems, Parkinson's, something like that, you can still have the dignity. There's a great item. Everyone loves this. And sometimes the best items are for all ages. There's a product called Peel-Aways, and it's a fitted sheet that has I think I've mentioned this before, has 5 layers of like a waterproof sheet. So if it was soiled or wet, like in the middle of the night, instead of having to wake someone up, you can just kind of roll them over, pull off the sheet, and there's another dry one. It comes in a crib size because it's perfect for babies. It comes in a crib size all the way up to a queen, maybe even a king. So it's great for caregiving, great for babies, great for college kids who don't want to change their sheets but need clean sheets. That's who started it, actually. He was in college. But so there's some wonderful, just all different kinds of innovative solutions is what I like to call them. Not necessarily all tech. A lot of it is, a lot of apps, but I did this big revamp. And so I had on my old directory, I actually manually checked out every single site again to make sure it was still available to the consumer. And I actually didn't put on about 5 or 6 because I couldn't get a buy now button like on their website. So maybe they're going through something else. So I'm really trying to keep it very current. And if someone's going through a redo themselves, they can come back on later. So yeah, and it's very easy to submit it. You can just go, there's a submit product button on the upper right-hand corner of the directory, and they can just submit it and it'll come to me and I can look at it and approve it or call them and ask them questions. So I hope y'all take a look at it and let me know what you think.
Great. And it can be found at agetechnow.com. Couldn't get any easier. agetechnow.com. Maxwell Cohen, he was turned down for peel-aways at age 22 on Shark Tank.
It's great. It's great.
He came on Aspects of Aging, my very, very, very first live.
Oh, wow.
At age 29. So it's the very first one where you see a group. The ones before that was me experimenting with how am I going to interview? And I was like, throw them on the screen and talk. Just do it. Just pretend like we've all gotten together and we're just like, oh no, I need something. I did want to mention solo agers. It doesn't just mean that you're grouchy and obstinate and you can't help me, I'll do it myself. It's the reason why they have aged, because they do it themselves. I mean, DIY is not a bad thing. Hi, Russ Hedge. I saw you down there. Hey, Russ, thank you so much. Thanks for keeping my husband busy on the show that Jeff has been on before. But solo aging can come upon you in a snap. Your spouse is gone. It can come on slowly because maybe your significant other has is slowly going into a point where you know that they aren't going to be the one caring for you, and you thought you were the one with the needs. It can happen because there have never been kids. There has never been a spouse. You have been navigating through everything, and it's like, okay, this is still my life. I want to look these things up at Lori Miller's website, agetechnow.com. I want to vet them. I want to see if they're worth their salt. I want to see if it's really my style. And to me, correct me or add to or whatever, innovation is an invention where you took something that was already there and you went, you know what? If we made the buttons decorative and put the magnets behind, then you're not the weird kid at age anything, because neuropathy, injuries, nerve things that happen because of a condition or surgery, but you're not the weird kid with the weird clothes. You're the one that looks great, and you look great because you are dressing yourself, for goodness sakes. And so you're walking out confident because you're taking care of that. Peel-aways, I know exactly how I would have used them during my caregiving years, exactly how to position the person, roll that up, reposition the person, roll that up, whether it was vomit, blood, they have a recent surgery that's oozing. And yes, of course, urine or excrement. I don't want to lay in it. They don't want to, because they're me, only we've just reversed. I always told people, you would have done the same for me. And the new fresh sheet with nothing on it is already there. It's underneath. The layers have already been prepared. So it works out great. And Maxwell Cohen is doing great things in different parts of the world because of what he has been doing with his company, even though Mr. Wonderful said, I see nothing here. And it's like, Mr. Wonderful, I don't wish upon you the need for this, but I wish that you had experienced other people needing it and going, oh, I still have a back because I am not yanking sheets around, and my person got a much better night's sleep. So yay, Lori, for doing all that. I'm excited that you mentioned that. So Jeffrey, I've thrown out some relationship things about marriage, things where people come together, where both people have made a commitment to devotion. And there are different ways that commitments and relationships are tested, some of them in the fire of, I need your help, but I don't want to need your help, or I just feel like I'm fighting to remain independent and I end up fighting you because you're closer to me. Or we have to make decisions that we never practiced for. We never practiced who's going to take care of who, how much, in what ways, for how long. So, Jeffrey, you've come off a great weekend. What do you want to talk about first?
Well, first, let me say thank you for having me on the show and being a part of this conversation. It's been amazing so far. And Lori, just incredible things that you're doing. And as I listen to you, I think back in times of caregiving and being part of the circle of caregiving. My sister is a nurse, and my mom was a nurse, and both my parents are gone now, and they both were able to pass away at home, and so there was a part of the caregiving that I saw, and all the dynamics that go around with that, and it just made me think about the folks that don't have that, that aren't aware of all the things that you were talking about today. So I will certainly pass your information out and do that because it's well needed.
Thank you.
And it's amazing what you're doing. And Christine, obviously, aging better, networking, all the things. We always get better as we get older is what I like to tell myself. It's not I'm getting older, but we get better through age. We get wiser through age. We become more appreciative of age. And so to your point earlier about the weekend, it was an amazing weekend. It was hosted here in Houston by Lakewood Church. It's called the Spark Conference, and they've been doing it for 10 years now. And it's, they bring married couples together or unmarried couples that want to become better in relationships, that want to become prepared for the journey of marriage, the ups and the downs, and they bring guest speakers in. And over the last 3 years, our daughter and her husband have joined my wife and I. So, we're starting to pass down to them. And we never, listen, can I just be honest about relationships with you ladies?
Yes.
Years ago, I'm so far removed from the person I used to be around relationships because of the things that we are taught as men and the things that I learned to do because I was that kid that never really felt like I belonged. So I learned to wear a mask and have these disguises. And even though as an athlete, I grew to be an athlete, I was still in my mind that goofy looking kid that all my friends told me with the big head, the big ears. And, that stuff goes on. The only difference between then and now is technology, but the cruelty, the bullying, the name calling, all that stuff happens, right? So the relationship piece for me was something that I lost the ability to really have for a certain part of my life. And so when I think about where I am in the marriage conference, I'm sitting there with tears in my eyes as I look at my wife, and they have us do exercises, and she smiles at me because she knows I'm a crybaby, and I'm able to express that now, and I don't hide behind the feelings. But that gap between what I was just sharing with you as a little boy, almost the whole first half of my life, I lived behind the walls, kept all my feelings stuffed in, and didn't know that there was another way to live. Didn't know that the success that I had on the outside wasn't going to heal the wounds and the pain on the inside. And what really the relationship, the most important relationship, while you were talking, I was thinking, I wrote down this most important relationship we can have outside of our spiritual connection, whatever you believe in, however that is for you, is a real relationship with ourselves. And so in our marriage, my wife and I, well, let me just say that this is my second marriage. And my first marriage was one that we were together, and it was years ago, and we doing great things, and I thought I'd be married forever because that's what my parents were until my mom passed away. They were married 44 years, and I knew that was how it was going to go. Right? I mean, I just knew I would be able to do that. But as I mentioned earlier about my inabilities to really stay vulnerable, stay open, stay willing to be weak, and all those things, walls started to come up. And we had some tragic things happen, and we lost a 4-year daughter at 4 months into a pregnancy. Another wall, and another wall. And part of what I'm doing at the end of this month is part of my experience around, again, ladies, just keeping it real with you. You know, I was that guy who finally said there must be something better on the other side, and she did. And all of those things that go into that. And why am I telling you all these things? Is because it's important to be able to heal, right? And relieve yourselves from the past mistakes, the unhealed wounds, and connect with conferences like my wife and I today attend, so that you can stay grounded, so that you can prevent yourself from creating bad habits, so you can be a better person. And all of that takes work. And when you're aging, and you're by yourself, those of you out there that are like that, and you're still carrying some of the burdens of your mistakes and past, I encourage you to don't carry the weight anymore. Just sit it down. I tried for years to carry it, and as a result of that, hit rock bottom, 31 years ago. And began a new journey that led me to the first marriage I had. It gave me some tools, but I didn't do the things I needed to do to continue to stay strong, to continue to practice honesty, to continue to show up vulnerably, to continue to speak what I really wanted and what I was looking for. So it's a long answer to the weekend, but I want to give you some background as to how powerful it is for me today to be able to do that, because that rock bottom part, that there were days that I didn't think I was needed to be around. There were days that I thought that nobody wasn't around. There were days that I thought that, fill in the blanks. But I'm here to tell you that I knew that little bit of finding my self-love and that first marriage was enough to remind me that no matter what I did, no matter how bad things are, that I can survive. And that survival process begins with surrender and some of the other tools that are necessary in a marriage. He said there's something, and I'll stop rambling, but there was a piece where in the message on for the weekend, it says it's two people. It's her, and then it's you, she and he. And then in the middle of that, so just imagine having a face, and one eye is me, and the other eye is my wife. And in the middle of that face is it was a religious meeting, so it was God. God is the brain between the two eyes. So if we're able to bring our personalities together, but surrender to God and follow what He says about us, that we are His masterpiece, we are His children. And I hope you believe in something so that you don't have to believe in God to really kind of connect to this, so that you can come together and then allow Him to be that guiding light. So we both look to Him to be the guiding light, and less about this nagging, whacking at each other, and all those other things. And with that, you grow together. That mind becomes part of how you think and feel. So there's so many great things that I'm able to hear today. And so just an amazing time at that conference. But all those things I went through and I shared with you are all those things that I help people with now. I mean, our gifts come from our struggles. Our messy is what we're supposed to share. So I'm excited to be here today, and I want to remind all those folks that are in this circle of aging, don't do it alone. Stay connected. The solo agers, or I think that's what I wrote down. You said solo agers.
Yeah.
Don't do it alone. We're not meant to be alone. Just a couple of minutes of where I'm at.
Absolutely. Cynthia Rogers said, thank you for sharing so personally. And I believe you said the word cheating.
Yes.
There's a lot of ways to go, I'd withdraw from you. I'm going to I feel like I need to find more value or more validation, more power in something else. And sometimes it's whatever job or work that you're in, and then you retire and you're just like, I don't know that I am worth anything. I don't see it. There's no finished product. There's no person coming in and saying, Mr. Jones, we are coming to you because we know that you have so much expertise. It's like, where is that to rely on any one person to make you feel good, to rely on anything. Our pastor said this months ago. I embellished just a little, but he talked about things and people, and talking about, are you using things to show your love for people? Are you using people to show your love or your adoration for things, be it whatever that is, that people only come in handy to give you or only are meaningful to you if they give you that thing that you hunger for. And we all have a hunger in ourselves to find a solution to our problem, or to find peace about something that has happened to us or that we caused. And yes, relationships can be rebuilt or rekindled, or a relationship can even be saying, I'm sorry for the parts I didn't even understand about myself. I was in a situation. Whoa. Okay. I think the best way to say it is two people facing challenges of aging, including hospice and a blend of other humans who are all doing this awkward dance around each other, while one has a pencil behind the ear going, now, do we have all the books in order? And someone else is just sniffling in the corner. How can we even talk about this stuff right now? We need to be spending time with them in these, we don't know how many hours or days we have left. And someone else who comes in, life of the party, everybody, let's just talk about happy things right now. And you're just and there were so many. And one person came, and yes, there were sparks. And one person came and said, I need to apologize to you for what you've been going through these last number of shifts. And I said, I already forgave you before I ever entered the first time. All of you are going through impossible situation. There is no way you're getting through this without stomping on each other's emotional toes or seeming to disregard somebody's way of approaching and tying up loose ends. It's not. It's. Ugh. And so this tight person was able to just relax and go, well, I feel this, and I already know the information. I'm already a confidant. I'm already kind of in the background while things are being said and done. And so I'm not being shocked. I'm not, telling anybody anything. I'm, any more than the information that you just got, which you can't possibly put together who this was or what it was about, because really it happens in a lot of places. And Lori, you were so honest to say what so many others have said. I was an expert. I got a degree in dementia. And then it was mom. Ah!
Right. Well, I think what I see happen all the time, and again, the more we know about it, maybe we can help it, is the adult children. I mean, they're in their 50s and 60s, sometimes even 70s, just revert back to how they are when they were not even teenagers, but even younger. And a lot of times, they're vying for that parent who's dying, that love and attention, and they really revert back to the firstborn, like you said. All the ducks are in a row, right? The firstborn is wanting to get all the paperwork in order. And then that middle one's got to be the attention, right? Because they never had the attention, and it's all that. And then the young one maybe is just in tears. And it's really interesting to watch it. Sometimes it doesn't happen. Sometimes people fall over themselves trying to be helpful to each other. But I think if you acknowledge it, it was a real interesting thing when my mom was going through kind of the end of her life, and we were, impatiently waiting for the phone call, right? And so my brother, my middle one, he was going to go play golf. And I'm like, fine, have your phone in your pocket. And if I need you, I'll call you. That's where he needed to be. He did not need to be in a closed room with no windows, in the hospital waiting room, because it would have done nobody any good. And a girlfriend of mine who was with me said, you can't let him go. He needs to be here. And I'm like, no, he doesn't. He needs to be not here. As long as he has his phone on and we can get him, because he would just have been pacing and it wasn't his happy place. And I'm like, there's nothing he can do. She was there for me, right? If I needed him for me, he would have stayed. But, I needed him to be where he was comfortable. And then the older brother, right, he was trying to get all the ducks in the row and making sure about this paperwork and that paperwork. And I physically just needed to be there. I needed to be close to my mom. That's what was right for me. And we all acknowledged each other's what we needed to do and allowed it. And it was an amazing experience that we all didn't necessarily get along when we were kids, but we all totally got along at this time of in our life. And it was really an interesting thing for our relationship, but that doesn't always happen for sure.
Wow. Jeff, Lori said, you reverting back, and I can attest at this point, I am 65, which is a perfect time to be a host for an aging thing, because now I've played with Medicare and
congratulations if you're on it. That's great.
Yeah. I know supplemental everything I'm doing, and I know that I can do it again. And actually am friends with my, I'm not going to say it right, representative, broker or whatever it is. Yeah, who I do not pay because the money comes from somewhere else. I'm like, yeah, I like that. You end up being friends, and who's watching me because my person is not my age and is going, I'm learning for my own self as I am walking you through this. It's just really great. And then we go and have lunch together. but reverting back, I can attest to this is absolute truth. I am still stuck. I'm still stuck, attached to some things that were unhelpful, things that I couldn't change. It would be like if someone said, "Oh, you're so short." You're like, "Well, I'm not going to be able to change my height." I know one person who did literally went through surgery to extend.
That's a thing.
It is, and it is a person screaming at everyone in the room for many, many weeks because it is such a painful process. You, I, that's all I'm going to say about it. It sounds like science fiction, but it is a real thing. So if it was my height, it would have been, I can never change that. So therefore I am always not good enough, or not, not what is it? The best thing to be is slightly above average. So you don't stand out too much, but you've always got more people below you than above you, so there's not high expectations. It's like, crazy. But things have still stuck with me even from my early 40s. That I'm like, wash that away again, or let go of
Let
that.
it go. Yeah.
But there are also positives that have been spoken into me. One guy, he passed away on a golf course, Lori, where he needed to be. Life was not easy on this guy either, but he was in charge of the kids my age. I know I had braces and a really bad perm, so I'm thinking about 14. So just the evil age of 13 to 14, where you're just like, everything.
Dramatic.
I don't look like, and I'm not like, and whatever. And this person said, this guy, Steve, said, okay, I'm going to make a motion. I'm going to point to someone. I'm going to make this motion. And he walked around in a circle because we were all sitting around him. And he kept doing this. And he said, she is a welcomer, an inviting person. And boy, I just blossomed under that. I'm a welcoming person. I'm an inviter. It's okay for me to be gregarious and outgoing. And I don't have a fragile, oh my goodness, am I being seen with the right people? And is everything just? So I can be seen with anybody and I'm fine with it. And that anybody might be going, hey, this person just treated me like an equal human being. Wow, this part of my day is better, or has invited me to come and interact, So it's obviously affected even my social media life, not just my social life. But Jeff, you talked about those things from the past and getting to a point. Your path to this point is what I'll say. Your path to that point was you got married and you had a wife, and still those things were still, and you just thought it's got to be better somewhere else, because I shouldn't still be going through this. I shouldn't still be stuck.
Well, it's funny you say that. It was really about, for me, it was about the pain, numbing the pain, running from the pain. All of my life, I was running from the pain of not feeling good enough. All my life was running from all the things that weren't settled, all those things, those stories we tell ourselves. Today I work with people on helping them flip the script on this thinking, that messaging that we have around our old stories, new or old. And so that was really it for me. And so it was substances, it was stardom as an athlete, all those things. It was something else. And then in the surrendering process is when I began to really, really, really start to understand that I didn't have to live the way I was living. There was another way to live. And it began a journey through a 12-step program that has helped me. Yes, that piece is in there that really helped me deal with emotional side, deal with, and I was a guy, it blows me away when I think about leaving high school with a 1.9 GPA, and then 25 years later, being in the high level management with corporate 500 companies and doing these things right there. And so, and then it blows me away even more that those things, the messaging that I'm talking to you about, hasn't kept me from living my life for my life because of the work, because of the exercises, and really going all the way back, ladies, to when that 5-year-old boy was standing, that 5-year-old boy being me, was standing on the bus stop at the end of our driveway, waiting on the bus, dressed up, ready to go, scared to death. Know I was going to get beat up. I couldn't tell anybody. My parents. It was just the way it was, right? I mean, we had great parents. I mean, we were the Huxtables back in the day when we grew up. So, it was hard for us to fit in places because people thought we had all this stuff. But anyway, I was thinking, in my journey, though, here's the thing. At some point in my journey, I went back to that 5-year-old boy. I reached down and I grabbed his hand, and he told me, I know you would come back. Because you got to go backwards in order to step forward. You got to move backwards to heal. You got to get all that garbage out to really get to where you can deal with life. And ladies, I was doing that in my first marriage, but then I figured I didn't need it. And I was wrong, because each thing that happened. You ever hear the story about the alligator arms? Now, imagine an alligator standing up, right, and trying to hug an alligator. How many? The arms are just like this, right? Can't do it. And that was me. I remember standing in the kitchen, and she asked me. She said, "Are you having an affair?" And I wanted to tell her, but I was weak. I wanted to tell her, yeah, help me. Can we? Yes, I'm messing it up. Help me. But all I had was the alligator. I couldn't reach around anymore because I had stopped working on the things that I'm talking to you about. Learning how to be honest and learning how to stay in the relationship, how bad it is. Today I stay. I'm not going anywhere. The work I've done over that gap in between the first marriage and the marriage I have now, which is 15 years of now, I'm not going anywhere. I will never do that to me or anybody else.
Oh. Jeff, I don't like clocks because they tell me I have to stop, but I definitely want people to know that there's a virtual summit. So can I assume that it's available not just in person, but online?
Yeah, it's virtual, 100% virtual, yes.
Okay, virtual summit from heartbreak to healing, 21 ways to find extraordinary love. I mean, there's a sales point right there. Extraordinary love. Like, do you want to be in love? I want to be in extraordinary love. So from heartbreak to healing, and how do people best get to that so they can sign up, sign in, register?
Well, be on the lookout. I'll get it to you. I was probably not supposed to mention it today because my marketing people are like, "What did you do?"
You didn't hear it first here, folks.
Yeah, but I'll get it out to you. It's going to be 21 experts in that area that really and deliver different things. So there's, somewhere in there it's going to fit for somebody, whether you're thinking about cheating or you cheated and you want your spouse back, or you cheated and you want to get better like I did to remarry. I mean, just all those types of levels.
Well, so yes. It's on the screen now, so you're caught. Yeah, it's on the screen. Okay, but you are Jeff Tyson, and that's Jeff with a G.
Yes.
Geoff, Jeff Tyson, and you are definitely on LinkedIn And if someone's watching this in replay, pause, and you can get a hold of him on Calendly, and just email him. And it's easy for me because this is probably the 5th time that friend Lori has been on my show. But go ahead and say what you want people to remember, Lori.
I would just love for people just to check out the agetechnow.com and let me know what they think. And the applecareandcompanion.com, that's our website for our agency. But I have a lot of good resources on there as well. We have a blog resource section. So even if they're not local, I think they could still find, how to find home care, questions to ask for home care. That could be across the country. So yeah, reach out to me. I'm on LinkedIn. You can contact me at either one of those websites. So thank you.
And thank you to both of you, because everything that you're saying crosses over into other things. Definitely. That we're doing as we face our own aging, as we face our own who we are inside, the power that we can exercise on ourselves, not power over other people. Well, that too, but the power that we have in vulnerability and just going, okay, I'm going to have a hard time with this loved one passing away. And these are some of the ways that I've been told I'm going to have a hard time. And I'm maybe going to apologize to everyone ahead of time. I did it before my daughter's wedding. I said, I want you to know now that whatever's going to happen, we are going to. And I'm sorry, you are worth more than that. And we did have we're not talking for that evening. The next morning, I sent a message, and immediately the message comes back. Oh, I felt so bad, but I didn't want it. And I'm like, we're both being strong about this, maybe too strong, but the strength is good in a lot of situations. And sometimes weddings are a crisis. And so apologizing ahead of time is really good for me. But I think there's going to be 21 people that have more information there. And Lori, thank you for your diligence, giving people really workable solutions for nothing in return, and also giving them tears so that they can TIER.
Right.
Tears of,
I'm going to lessen the tears
farther in. I want to know I'm innovating myself. I want to be part of this networking. I want to get to the inside, the stuffing in the turkey, or whatever it is that we're trying to get to. Because people never say, boy, do I regret being so well prepared for that crisis. Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. So bless your hearts. Thank you to both of you. It was kind of early Texans only. I'll be doing it again in the fall when Europe and then US change their clocks, and everyone freaks out that does worldwide stuff, and then everything settles into place, and then I'll go back to everywhere else. But I'm doing Texans only for 5 Mondays in a row to just get everybody, because that helps me with the scheduling. Otherwise, I don't know who's doing what. Okay,
well, thanks again for having us.
Okay. Yeah,
thank you.
I'm glad
to meet you more.
You too.